Well, good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to you. And isn't it marvellous to all be together doing something in real time and not behind a screen? I'm very excited that we're able to do our in real life graduation this year. My name's Jackie Lynch. I am Chair of the Board of Trustees, and I'm also a graduate of ION myself. So I do know just what a big day this is for all of you. And it really is great to see so many of you here today, because it's very special graduation for us, and I'm sure you'll find it worth the wait. So I'd like to start with a very special welcome, not just to the graduates, but also to all your family and friends who are here to support you, because I'm fairly sure they've also supported you throughout the ups and downs of your journey to become a nutritional therapist. And I'm afraid I'm going to need one last final gesture of support from all of you, because there will be some serious clapping required once the ceremony gets underway. And I imagine we're all a little bit out of practice with clapping in recent months. Even the clap for carers seems a long time ago, doesn't it? So we'll do a little warm-up in a few minutes just to get you going. I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome our other guests as well. Robin Puglia, who is our keynote speaker today, and our colleagues from the University of Portsmouth, Dr. Neil Weston and Professor Richard Thelwell. We are delighted that you're here to join us this afternoon. There's also a special thank you to Chala, our sponsor. Please do take the time to go and visit their display table if you haven't already, because there are some exciting goodies on display. And in case you're thinking you haven't seen Chala, but you did spot the table over there, it's actually the same one. It's just maybe spelt with a K, but it's pronounced Chala. So make sure you don't miss them. We've got a number of prizes to announce, and are very grateful to ION fellow Janet Anders, ION trustee Diane Shepperson-Mills, BioCare, Zest for Life, and the Natural Dispensary for their generous sponsoring of these prizes. And of course, last but not least, the final thank you goes to all the ION staff and trustees, because they're not strictly guests, but they really do deserve a special mention for all their hard work and their commitment to the organisation, because I really don't know what we'd do without all of you. Now, before we start, there are a few housekeeping announcements, so bear with me. I hope it doesn't happen, but if the fire alarm goes off, it is a continuous ring, and guests should exit as quickly and safely as possible, using the main entrance that you came in through and gather in the courtyard. There will be fire marshals available to direct people, so look out for them if you're not sure where to go. I'm sure you've also all received your pre-event COVID instructions, so just a quick reminder that masks are optional, but all the waiting staff will be wearing masks. And there's hand sanitizer and antibacterial wipes available around the venue. Also, the NHS track and trace code is available at reception if you'd like to check into the event. And I should probably add that much as I'd like to, I won't be shaking your hands, because I don't want to run the risk of becoming a one-woman super spreader as I hand out the certificates. Finally, if you could all just double-check that mobile phones are on silent or switched off, that would be very much appreciated, because we all know how easily done that is. Okay, all sorted? Looks like it. A few guilty faces there, I saw. So, on to the real business of the day. ION has been training nutritional therapists for over 35 years, and graduation is always a very special day, as we celebrate the hard work and the success of our third-year students. So I really am thrilled to see so many of you here today after what's been an incredibly difficult year. And I know that many of you have travelled quite some distance to get here today, not just from around the UK, but from as far afield as Germany, Iceland, and Latvia. Now that is what I call dedication, and I promise you that we are going to celebrate loudly and proudly today. Now, to all the friends and family, this is your chance to warm your hands up and get some practice in. So can we start by giving our very clever graduates a big round of applause? Wow. That was Marvellous, excellent start. One would think you've been clapping for years. Okay, so to our students, first of all. The first thing I would like to say is congratulations on your achievement. And it is a major achievement. It's not easy to make it through the NTDC, and that's not just because of the academic level of the course and the stress of clinic, not to mention the dreaded monthly assignments. It's because you're doing the course at the same time as managing a very busy life. You will, each of you, have a very different story and will have faced a range of distracting challenges over the past few years, from starting and raising a young family, supporting elderly relatives, holding down a busy job, dealing with illness or loss, and all the other myriad rocks that life can throw in your path. And that was before COVID-19 crashed into our lives and turned them upside down, just as you were coming towards the end of your second year and looking ahead to an exciting final year of clinical practice before you launched on the world as a nutritional therapist. So you had to plough through the challenges of lockdown, trying to keep your studies going, when the house probably seemed incredibly busy and noisy, and you were no doubt worried sick about the health of your loved ones. And as for those of you who had to take on homeschooling on top of this, I salute you. For some of you, it may have been a very lonely and dispiriting year, or you may have lost loved ones and been dealing with grief. We've all experienced this pandemic in very different ways, and yet we've made it through, and here we are, something to celebrate. So the challenges have been many, and over your years at ION, there will have been times when the monthly assignment felt like a mountain to climb, but you climbed it. You grappled with the challenges of analysing clinical trials and research papers. You dealt with difficult clinical cases and learned how to motivate reluctant clients. And somehow, you managed to juggle all of that with the other responsibilities in your life. So your achievement is hard won, and I hope it's all the sweeter for that. Now, these are interesting times. What an opportunity and a privilege to be in a position where you can provide evidence-based advice and support at a time when public health is in very sharp focus. You're qualifying as nutritional therapists at the very time when the public's appreciation of the link between food and health has never been greater. The impact of COVID-19 has increased the appetite for a preventative approach to healthcare and immune support in particular. Managing the fallout from the post-viral fatigue of long COVID has been a challenge for many. And of course, the political context of potential new trade deals may have a very real impact on our food standards. All of these issues are encouraging people to think harder about how they influence their own health and well-being. And so the professional opportunities for nutritional therapists continue to grow. We're facing a global health crisis, and I don't mean COVID. We're facing a global health crisis which is all about diet. Non-communicable disease, such as cardiovascular disease, cancer, obesity, and type 2 diabetes are at an all-time high and are now responsible for 72% of deaths across the world. And as you all know, diet can be a significant factor in each of these conditions. High in refined and processed foods and low in whole grains, fruit and vegetables, the Western diet has become a deadly gift to the rest of the world. Here in the UK, 1 in 4 adults are obese, and recent statistics show that we're comfortably at the top of the obesity league in Western Europe, which hugely increases our risk of chronic disease. Now that's not a great result for Team GB. So there's a lot of work for all of you to do. Not only does your country desperately need you, but you can also play a part in saving the world from chronic disease. You probably didn't see yourself as a nutrition superhero when you came to ION Open Day to find out more about the course, but that's what you've become. So please get started as soon as possible, if you haven't already. Now, as the class of 2021, you've been primed with the most recent thinking and research and trained to analyse clinical studies. So this means that you can untangle the muddled messages of the media for your clients and make a real difference to their health and well-being. You're well placed to showcase nutritional therapy at its very best. So make sure you do that. Set yourself high standards. Keep up to date with regular CPD. Register with the CNHC and with BANT so that it's clear that you take your profession seriously and that you welcome self-regulation. In many ways, this is the start of your journey. They say you only really learn to drive after you pass your test. And I think nutritional therapy is a lot like that. This course laid the groundwork for you to get started. But you'll probably find that the learning curve in your first year or two of practice is very steep. I know that I did, and that was without a pandemic. It took a while to get used to the fact that there wasn't a tutor in the corner of the room watching my every move, but also there to support me. So it's a very exciting time, but it can be a little daunting too, as you realise that you're on your own. You'll have made many friends during your time on the NTDC, so make sure you reach out to them as a support network as you develop your nutrition practice, because that's how we keep going as clinicians. This hasn't been an easy time for anyone, and it's those friendships that you made on the course that really will prove to be a lifelong benefit to you as a practitioner. Keep in touch with ION as well. We would love to keep in touch with you to provide ongoing help, support, and CPD. Follow us on social media if you're not already. Subscribe to our magazine. In fact, write for our magazine. Attend our short courses and workshops, and help us to continue to spread the word about nutritional therapy. For now, though, I would like you to take the time to savour this moment of achievement. You should feel justly proud of yourselves, and I look forward to handing each one of you your hard-won and very well-deserved diploma. Congratulations again, and enjoy your day. Right, that's enough from me. So, I would now like to introduce Dr. Neil Weston, Associate Dean from the University of Portsmouth, our academic partners. Neil manages partnerships for the Faculty of Science and Health and has been instrumental in helping us realise the collaboration between our two organisations. I last saw Neil in March 2020 at the official signing ceremony of our partnership, which was a wonderful event. But it was also the last in-person event I attended for ION. So it's strangely fitting that I should see him again at the first in-person event we've organised this year. I'm delighted that he and his colleague are here to join us for the celebration today. So please welcome him to the stage.
Wow, what a venue, eh? Fantastic. It's a real pleasure and an honour to be here with you today to celebrate your achievements with your family, friends, and also your academic tutors. Many congratulations on what I'm sure has been a bit of a roller coaster journey for you all, from enrolment through to your graduation today. The University of Portsmouth are really proud to work in partnership with ION to validate and offer 2 new sector-leading courses in our BSc in Nutritional Therapy and the Graduate Diploma in Integrative Functional Nutrition. As Jackie mentioned, my role at the university is Associate Dean for Education Partnerships in the Faculty of Science and Health, and I've had the real pleasure of working with Chris, Heather, Paula and the team from initial connection that we had in January 2019 to the present time when the courses are now up and successfully running. This pleasure extends to this fabulous venue that we have here today, and also for the lovely food that we'll probably enjoy next door after the ceremony. Indeed, in every event or meeting I've had with my ION colleagues and friends, I'm yet to leave disappointed in the quality of the food or the company. Whilst there are limits to the nutritional advice they can give me over an informal lunch, I am yet to receive confirmation as to whether my Scottish upbringing of haggis, neeps and tatties followed by deep-fried Mars bar, and washed down with iron brew and or whiskey, will actually do me any nutritional benefit whatsoever. But maybe you can help me out on that after the ceremony. But more seriously, in my time working with the ION team developing the curriculum, I've observed an incredible attention to detail and the hard work of the staff to create innovative, research and industry-informed courses that best prepares you for employment and more generally sets you up to make a significant and positive impact upon the societies in which you reside and work to. Much like my own discipline of psychology, the nutritional therapy knowledge and skills that you have learnt on your course can directly benefit yourself as well as the wider public that you wish to work with. I'm sure it has positively changed how you view your nutritional intake and what you choose to eat and drink, and I would urge that you make sure that you continue to practice what you preach and maintain your currency of the latest research in the area to evolve your practice and probably more importantly, the impact you can have with your client groups. Now, what has also struck me in working with my ION colleagues is the careful focus on the student journey throughout your ION course, acknowledging the diversity of the student population, your backgrounds, differing backgrounds and circumstances, and providing high-quality student support tailored to your needs and to each of your needs. This caring and attentive student focus is not always evident in higher education providers, but is certainly the philosophy and approach at the heart of the University of Portsmouth way, and one that shouldn't be taken for granted. Now, in any normal academic year, it is a significant operation to deliver consistent, high-quality higher education courses. However, in a COVID pandemic, this has created additional uncertainty and pressures on you as students and on the ION staff to ensure your course maintained academic standards and quality and also minimise the disruption to your studies. It is clear that difficult decisions had to be made by the ION team in an ever-changing situation with government guidelines frequently fluctuating. However, it is clear to me that the ION team had your best interests at heart, and I'd like to congratulate the ION teaching, administration, technical and management teams for the phenomenal effort that they have put in to support your studies and keep the show on the road. Now, one of the best bits, I've been teaching in higher education since 2001, and one of the best bits of being an academic tutor is attending the graduation ceremony, seeing your students graduate with the love and support of their close family and friends. In these events, it is the pleasure in seeing the ever-present smiles, laughter, joy, and relief at having accomplished the task that you set yourself way back when you press send on that application. At graduations, I often reflect back on my first meeting with my fresh-faced tutees, reminding myself of those initial conversations, the slightly anxious look on their faces, the uncertainty of what was to unfold, and the students socially trying to figure out who their new best friends would be. And in my case, my tutees trying to decipher what advice this strange Glaswegian tutor is trying to communicate with them. But fast forward to the graduation day, when you appreciate just how far those fresh-faced tutees have come, how much they have grown in their confidence, their competence, their knowledge and their skills, the obstacles they have faced and overcome, now ready for the next step into employment. It is also hugely enjoyable to chat with their loved ones and see the pride they have for their son, daughter, mum, dad, partner who have just graduated. Each student has their own backstory and motivation for studying the course, with their own unique anxieties, life circumstances, and ambitions. It is thus a privilege, really, to be given the responsibility to support those students through their ups and downs of their academic journey until they finally graduate and realise their potential, as you are doing today. My approach to supporting my tutees throughout their studies, and indeed in many social situations that I find myself in, is informed by a quote from one of my favourite novels, To Kill a Mockingbird, by Harper Lee, where the character Atticus Finch explains to his young daughter, Scout, as follows: "You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it." Atticus goes on to say that if you can learn this simple trick, you'll get along better with all kinds of folks. I find this really valuable advice as a tutor of students, as a husband, as a parent, as a friend, and as a colleague. You may at times have struggled on this course. You may have doubted your ability. You may have got a little bit frustrated. And maybe you took a little bit of that frustration out on those close to you. But invariably, it was your loved one's capacity to appreciate your circumstances, to understand the pressures you were under, and to metaphorically climb into your skin and walk in your shoes and react positively to support you when it might have been easier not to. So I think it's really important to acknowledge the enormous support that your friends, family, and loved ones have given you throughout your course. Congratulations to the key supporters of your higher education endeavours. The smiles I see in their faces today are invariably the relief that you have finally graduated, that they will see more of you as well, that you can now start to contribute an income to the household potentially, and that also that they can reclaim some of those favours that they did for you whilst you were on your course. So I want to end by saying that that your learning doesn't stop here, as Jackie pointed out. The subject area that you have studied is ever-changing as new research is published and knowledge is learned. You must be guardians of that knowledge, providing evidence-based advice and support to your clients, maintaining currency in your knowledge and skills to give the best value to your clients. And please don't forget to keep the advice of Atticus Finch to hand when working with your clients. Invest time in understanding and appreciating your clients' circumstances, their background, their motives, and their ambitions. Walk in their shoes and you'll be surprised how effective your client interactions and relationships can be. Now, for over 35 years, as Jackie pointed out earlier, ION have been leaders in nutritional therapy education, breaking down barriers, challenging stereotypes, and pushing the professionalism of this discipline forward. As organisations, the University of Portsmouth and ION are well aligned in our strategic ambitions and our educational philosophy towards student learning. We will continue to work collaboratively to develop new, innovative CPD undergraduate and postgraduate courses to drive forward training in this field. And we hope you will keep in touch with us and indeed join us again to continue your education and training. Thank you very much. Good luck, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Neil, for those words of wisdom. And now it's time for our keynote speaker, Robin Puglia, who's a shining light in our profession. Robin is a clinical nutritional therapist with a special interest in complex cases involving multiple diagnoses and chronic health issues such as ME, autoimmune disease, and fibromyalgia, all incredibly relevant in this era of long COVID. Her passion for working with chronic lifestyle-mediated conditions has led to the development of her lifestyle intervention clinic, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing what she's got to say. So please give her a warm welcome.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Just have to find the right water so I don't drink yours. Hello, everybody. Firstly, I'm just going to state the obvious. I'm full of a cold. So every nutritionist that I know would rather have a broken leg than a cold because we think it's some kind of professional failing. It's not really on brand, is it? But you know what? I've got little kids and these things happen. So my talk today is going to be quite a lot more real life than I had planned. So congratulations, everybody, on this milestone. I'm genuinely so happy to be here with you today. As I'm always really emotional as I hark back to my own graduation ceremony in 2009. So you know how there are some memories and life moments that stay with you, as clear as if they happened yesterday. You can instantly transport yourself back to the emotions of the day and all the details, the weather, what you were wearing. So I actually have 3 of those moments for my time at ION. So my very first day, I was 25 years old and starting the Science Access course, full to the brim with excitement and anticipation, looking at the faces of the people in my class, many of whom I still see and are still friends and whom I collaborate with today. All of us fresh-faced and innocent of what was to come. So 2005 was a glorious summer. It was the kind that we actually really dream about in the UK but never really experience, and we all missed it. So we were in class evenings and weekends and studying the whole summer, frantically trying to get all of that knowledge into our brains in order to prepare us for the rest of our journey. I actually had dreams at night time about writing chemical equations on the board. So then the second moment is the day of the last exam. So I don't actually know how they do it now, but back in the olden days, we were writing on paper with a pen, and you had to balance how fast you were going to write with how legible it needed to be. And we all sat on the lawn after the exam, the same group of people, nursing our aching writing hands, shocked at how fast it had gone and how hard it had been. We were survivors on that day, but it was glorious. And then finally graduation, jubilant, eager to get out there and start working, back to being innocent of what was to come, launching ourselves into the world with our proudly acquired knowledge and skills. So the world has changed a lot since I qualified. The industry has changed a lot. ION has changed a lot under the guidance of Heather Rosa. So you graduates today have a lot more knowledge and a lot more tools at your fingertips than I did in 2009. I've already horrified you with tales of handwritten exams, but in our clinical practice, we used carbon paper to make copies of the notes that we hand wrote for our clients. It was before the iPhone, there were no apps, nobody had a website. I really feel a bit like Laura Ingalls Wilder up here telling you all of this. Well, let me backtrack a little bit and tell you something about myself and about my work. So obviously I'm a nutritional therapist, I'm in clinical practice, I specialise in autoimmune disease, celiac disease, gluten-reactive disorders, and I work with a lot of complex cases and something that I've ended up calling unexplained illness. I have a completely virtual practice, and I'm very lucky to have 2 superlative and dedicated ION graduates as nutritional therapists and coaches who work alongside me, as well as a VA without whom my business would be a mess. On top of my clinical practice, I'm the lead educator for Cyrex Labs in the UK and Europe, and I've been working with Regeneris since 2013 as an educator and doing technical support for various of their other tests. I'm a key educator for Pure Encapsulations. I run multiple webinars for them every year, and I'm working on their Pure Genomics platform ahead of its UK launch. With Pure and Regeneris, I've done several really brilliant education events over the years, travelling all over the UK and Ireland to deliver live education, and we put on multiple big conferences, including the Gestational Journey in 2018, which was a 3-day event that I dreamed up while pregnant and on maternity leave. So I never imagined when I graduated that I would dream up a conference, a big conference, and be supported in my goal to bring that to life and have it be a success. That totally wasn't on my radar. And then almost 3 years ago, with 2 friends and colleagues, I started a mentoring company for new graduates and physicians. And after ION asked me to speak today, I reread what I had written for the last graduating class, which was 2016, I think. And I spent a long time banging on about the importance of mentoring. And so back at that time, it was one of my values, but I didn't imagine that I would turn it into a thriving business at that point either. I'm also a mum. I've got 3 young daughters who are obviously germy, but wonderful. So I'm speaking to you really from the trenches, and my advice is going to be coming to you directly from my experiences. So when I started at ION, I thought that I was going to specialise in skin health. That is honestly why I joined. I wanted to deepen and expand my work, which at that time was in medical aesthetics. I found iron by Googling info on vitamin C and collagen. I found an article by Patrick Holford talking about that exact connection, and at the bottom of that article, it referenced his book, The Optimum Nutrition Bible, which I immediately bought from a bookshop, not from Amazon, because this was the olden days. But I immediately couldn't put it down. I carried it with me everywhere. I read it on the bus. I read it if I had 10 minutes standing in line at the bank, because again, no online banking in those days. And at the end of the book, there was a reference to iron, and the rest, as they say, is history. But once I started studying, a whole world opened up to me that was richer and more fascinating than I ever imagined. The brain, the immune system. I was totally hooked on the complexity and the magic of the body and the integrated systems and nutrition and lifestyle and the impact that they had to really change somebody's life. And then, in my final year of study, 2 things happened to me that changed my health and the trajectory of my work. So I have celiac disease, diagnosed in 2004 before I started studying, and I got glutened fairly severely in my final year of study, which unfortunately does happen, but this time my recovery not only didn't follow the expected trajectory, it actually didn't happen at all, and I ended up bedbound for 6 months with chronic fatigue. So what this taught me was that I didn't know very much about celiac disease, and not only did I know very much about it, but none of the other doctors or nutritionists that I was seeking help from at that time really understood the extra-intestinal manifestations of celiac disease either. So this led me to further education, eventually leading to me certifying with IFM. But the second thing that happened at that same time, which took me years to even know had happened, was that I had had a significant mold exposure. And when the gluten exposure was layered over the top, caused my immune system and my actual system to be taken out at the knees. So my expectation was that I was going to be a skin and anti-aging specialist, and I initially worked in medical aesthetic practices and medi-spas, but my real calling found me, and I imagine it will be the same for a lot of you as well. So I started working with a business coach who helped me refine my audience and my messaging, and once I started speaking the language of my people, celiacs, complex cases, etc., then my work naturally grew and the right clients started to find me. I started speaking for BioCare about skin in my final year of study, and that experience led to more speaking, and because I really enjoy teaching and educating in this way, that has blossomed as well, although the subjects that I talk about now have changed. So over the years I have tried many things. I've failed at many things in my clinical practice. I've been awful at many things. I've hated doing many things. I've said yes to far too many things when I should have said no. I've taken on cases that I definitely shouldn't have. I've stuck it out with clients where the chemistry was totally wrong. And I've been really awkward talking about money in my business sometimes. One time I gave a 4-hour lecture on methylation in the first trimester of pregnancy with hyperemesis. I had to repeatedly leave the stage to throw up, and I did that because I prioritized meeting my commitments instead of asking to reschedule. So what is my advice to you all? First of all, don't agree to give a lecture in the first trimester of pregnancy. It's not a good plan. But you already know the most important things. Coming from my work in complex cases, the most important things that you can do for someone is the fundamental basics: chewing, stomach acid and digestive enzymes, breathing, eating whole foods, balancing blood sugar, sleeping and gentle movement. If someone isn't doing one of these things and they need to be, or they require support in that area, then understanding mold or viruses or methylation isn't going to be helpful in the way that everyone expects. If you build on those skills in these early days especially, you will help a lot of people, including the complicated cases. Invest in your business every year or every 2 years. Get a business mentor and a clinical mentor, or somebody that can do both for you. A clinical mentor can help you brainstorm cases and to support you with their own clinical experience while yours is starting to develop. From a business perspective, every year or two, I really strongly advise you to audit what you're doing and make sure that you are growing and that your business is growing with you. Spending this time and this money will not only increase how much money you make, far exceeding the investment in my experience, but also it will make sure that you're continuing to be inspired, interested, serving the right people. It will help you to maintain joy and not to burn out. Knowing when and to whom to say no is one of the most important things that you can do, and I wish that someone had told me that when I was graduating. Say no an awful lot more than you do, especially in the early days. So with this support, you may find that you have the courage and the inspiration to do things that you never dreamed about or that you are dreaming about. So speaking of burnout, it's very, very common in our industry. We are the givers, we are the caretakers, but we do not properly practice what we preach. Yes, I know that you all eat well and do yoga and drink filtered water, but how many of you chew your food 50 times? How many of you would disappoint a paying client in order to prioritize your own health? Case in point. So with your health in mind, get yourself a nutritionist or a functional medicine practitioner and have an externally led MOT every year or every couple of years. Run the tests. Let someone else look over your case. It's a completely different experience than trying to manage things yourself, and you will learn a lot. Don't get caught up in dogma. There is no perfect diet. There is no perfect stool test. There is no perfect supplement program. Take it from me, who has spent a long time educating for testing and supplement companies. You will be doing your clients and yourself a disservice if you get stuck into protocol thinking. You need to develop tools in your toolkit and have options that you can choose from, instead of just using one thing all the time. Of course, you will have your favorites, tools that you rely on again and again, but understand that that's different than using one particular test because you have attached yourself to that thinking that it's better than all of the others for any particular reason. Every couple of years, you will look back on the work that you did 2 years ago or 5 years ago, and you will feel sick to your stomach by what you missed, the advice you gave, and what you didn't know. This feels terrible, but believe it or not, it's a good thing. You should be growing all the time. You should know more in 2 years than you do today. Our industry evolves fast, and we're learning at a rate of knots. When I graduated, gluten outside of celiac disease wasn't really a thing. SIBO hadn't been invented yet, and we all drank our water out of plastic bottles. So, welcome to the world. This is a hard industry in a lot of ways, but it is, I assure you, the very best work in the world. I'm excited to see what you guys will achieve and all of the ways that you are going to shape our industry and this field ahead of you. And I promise you that you're going to love it and you will never, ever be bored ever again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Robin. That was a really, truly inspiring speech.
What we're going to do now is Paula is going to announce the name of the graduate, and if you come up onto the stage, Jackie will hand you your award. Stand in between us. We're going to face the camera and have a photograph. So, easy peasy. You'll be able to... That's the gentleman in the white. This is where you need to, really you're clapping. There's going to be a lot of clapping today.
Okay, let's get started. Nicole Appleton. Sigrid Arnardatir. Lourdes Asnar. Kelly Bennett. Emma Bullock Chase. Fiona Coker. Amber Cotton. Flora Crichton. Lucy Dawson. Morgane de Rolodec Cortez. Agnes Doma. Anna Earl. Sue Evans. Lindsay Fisher. Katia Frank. Maria Firstino. Layla Gordon. Georgina Gray. Jessica Green. Edward Hardy. Lucy Harris. Joanne Hawkins. Rebecca Hazel. Naomi Hoon. Fiona Eisen. Jodie Kelly. Elizabeth Lydiard. Joanne Levac. Sarah Martin. Maureen Matthews. Lamin thanked McMahon. Wendy Mellett. Katerina Monti-Bolsakova. Helen Morehouse. Kirsten Mooring. Susanna Nemikova. Andrea Okos. Lucy Owens. Kerna Parek. Dipali Patel. Amy Payne. Julie Pitchler. Helen Ritchie. Alison Ritchie. Helen Rickson. Melanie Rust. Katie Salmon. Katie Shaw. Louise Slope. Gillian Stewart. Sharon Stultz. Caitlin Tootle. Sophie Trotman. Gemma Wade. And last but by no means least, Melanie Wilkinson.
often think Paula has probably one of the hardest jobs on the day, which is to do honour to your names. So thank you very much, Paula. Now, I have the most pleasurable duty, and that's to award prizes. Unfortunately, not everybody can be here with us today who's receiving a prize, but I would like to read out the name of the sponsor and the name of the graduate, and please let us celebrate by clapping that person. However, the first person is here, which is wonderful. And the first prize is the BioCare Award for the highest level achiever, levels 5 and 6 of the attendance cohort 2021. And that person is Rebecca Hazel. So if Rebecca, you would come to the stage. The next person, unfortunately, can't be with us today, and this person receives the Natural Dispensary Award for the highest achiever, levels 5 and 6 of the e-learning cohort. And that person, which we will give a round of applause to, is Isabel Bell. The next prize, the person is here. And this prize comes from one of our long-standing trustees. And this is the Diane Shepperton Mills Award for Outstanding Performance in Clinic. And this award goes to Sharon Stoltz. The next prize, unfortunately, the recipient isn't here. However, the giver of the prize is here. And the giver of the prize is Janet Anders, and it's called the Shekinah Award, and it's given for outstanding literature critique. This is the lovely Janet Anders, who I studied with 37 years ago. And she is a long-standing supporter of ION. So this prize goes to Catherine Payne. Final prize, unfortunately the recipient is not attending, but the prize giver is. So this is Anne Gary from Zest for Life. Anne Gary, would you let us... And this is the Zest for Life prize for the best business plan. And again, this one goes to Isabel Bell. Thank you very much. I'm now going to give the final address of the afternoon before Jackie, our head of trustees, closes. So just forgive me a second, I need a little sip of water. You all understand physiology and stress. That's lovely. So graduates of 2021, you are scholar practitioners, an embodiment of both the art and science of the practice of nutritional therapy. This term scholar practitioner comes from the Chinese, the ancient Chinese medicine, where they really understood that it's an embodiment of many different skills that you require to be a practitioner. And I want to lead on from that with another Chinese proverb. I think the Chinese have got
the March on Proverbs. And this is that learning is a treasure that follows its owner everywhere. And it's a treasure also that benefits the owner's clients and the wider community. And what I would like to talk about today is how you could benefit the profession of nutritional therapy as well. As NTs, you are constantly learning, and your clients, some of you may already have discovered, are your greatest teachers. Each brings with them challenges that make you engage back with the evidence. And Neil from the University of Portsmouth talked about how it really is important to maintain your engagement with the evidence to support your clinical practice. And it's this deep diving into the evidence that helps you to work out how you're going to resolve their issues. In nutritional therapy, we constantly talk about evidence-based medicine. So for family and friends, evidence-based medicine means using the best available research at the time to help inform how you're going to work with your client. But we also practice something called evidence-informed practice. And this is where practice joins research with the client's values and knowledge at the centre. So I've got two questions for you, because it wouldn't be me giving a speech if I didn't ask you to contribute. So in your heads, I want you to answer this question. What evidence from your future practice could inform our profession? So have a think about that. And how would you go about collecting the data and publishing this evidence? And the true nature of an evidence-informed practice is that we take the learning from our practice and give it back to the profession as a whole so that others can learn. On the top-up degree, which is validated by the University of Portsmouth, there are two amazing modules. One's called Research Skills, and the other one is called the Research Project. Now, you've already got a great grounding in the reading of papers, but you truly understand that nutrition research is a very difficult beast, that it has many problems in its collection of data and in those that sponsor the collection of data. So there's still more that we can learn about how to unpick and unpack research so that it truly does inform our practice. In this module, students have an experienced researcher who closely works with them, a bit like when you were in clinical practice. And this person guides the student through a range of research methods applicable to nutritional therapy practice. And that experienced supervisor works closely with the student to refine and to help them understand the feasibility of their project and its relevance to giving back to the profession. They also ensure that you have a really good understanding of governance and ethics. So we have quite a number of top-up students from a variety of backgrounds. We have recent graduates who are beginning to explore the area that they might want to focus in. And it's quite interesting how Robin was talking about how where she started is not how she ended up. So there might be somewhere along your journey as a practitioner where you really want to interrogate what's happening in your practice a little bit further. And then we have students at present who have been in practice for many years, and they really want to understand what is working and why it's working in their practice. These supervisors, research supervisors, work with the students then to actually conduct the research and to help write that research up. Now, some of you have already got a little bit of a research background from your first degrees or from higher degrees. Nutrition is really exciting when it comes to research. There's so much that we can look at, driven from our own practice, but also from things that are happening around us as well. Most of the students are doing semi-structured interviews because they like talking with people. It mirrors what they do in clinical practice. So you've got those skills already of being able to speak with clients. And they're really, truly interested in the client's lived experience. One of the students is looking at a project in which she's trying to understand the coping strategies of women who are peri- and postmenopausal between the ages of 50 and 58. Now, I'm sure Jackie, who you may or may not know, this is her specialist subject area, would love to know what those coping strategies are, because she could pass them on to her clients, and you could also put them into your podcast as well. Jackie has a podcast, really great listen. So there's all sorts of things that you could look at in terms of your emerging practice, but also in terms of long-term practice. So I'm talking to you about research not for just now, but for a time in the future when you have time to think, what is it that I really want to know more about? What do I want to deep dive into? Now, although most of our students choose qualitative research because they like that interaction of the interviews, some of our students have also chosen what we call quantitative research, which is where we deal with numbers. And the dreaded word statistics comes to mind. Now, nutritional therapists, virtually every paper we read has numbers in it, yes? Yeah. So we need to not be afraid of those numbers. And one of the really wonderful things about the research module, the research skills module, is that it teaches you to really understand what those numbers are telling us and to really move past the fear and to really embrace that type of research. And there's data everywhere that can be analysed, from public media, from research papers that have already been published. In fact, you may have heard or may not have heard recently of a paper that's just been published, which to a certain extent validates some of the advice that we've been giving to clients since Robin Puglia read that book by Patrick Holford. And this is a paper by Hugel and Hugel, which was published on the 6th of August 2021 in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, one of our favourite journals, yes? And they concluded that a lack of prior statistical analysis of a landmark World War II trial may have led to a misleading narrative on vitamin C needs for the prevention and treatment of collagen-related pathologies. Robin, I didn't know that she was going to be talking about skin, but it links really well back with that. And you know what? Their finding is going to change the recommendations for the amount of vitamin C at baseline. Their findings found that they really do need to be at baseline up at 90 to 100 milligrams, not the 35 that our government recommends and the 45 that the WHO recommends. Now, isn't that wonderful vindication of what we've been saying for many, many years as nutritional therapists, that we see that the body actually needs more? So there's lots of data out there that you could actually analyse, and by having these research modules at ION, it's allowing us now to have wonderful conversations with other organisations where we can really get to work with medics. So for example, the public health collaboration, I know some of you, one person here works for the public health collaboration, and others of you may be thinking about being ambassadors, and also the Real Food Campaign as well, which is another group set up by the British Holistic Medical Association, where they will generate data from their research and they will want students alongside them helping to analyse it. So at some stage in your future, think about what Neil said about continuing to be evidence-informed, but think about being evidence-informed in relation to your own practice and what your practice could tell us as practitioners in the wider industry. As scholar practitioners, independent critical thinkers, you strive continually to learn and apply your learning to meet the challenges of your casework and the needs of your community. We are here to help you on that journey. We are here for your future CPD needs, whether they are targeted learning on our short courses programme or for the degree top-up. And hopefully in the future, higher rewards as well. So really what I want to say to you is have that little moment of reflection every so often. Challenge, as Robin said, what it is that you are doing and what evidence it is based on. And think about how you could give back to the profession through research generated from your own practice and be the future of our nutritional therapy profession. And I want to say, finally, congratulations.
Well, that concludes the ceremony for today. Here you are, officially ION graduates. Isn't that wonderful? Thank you all for your wonderful support. That was some most excellent clapping. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the prize sponsors and also Chala again for their generosity. Please make sure you visit their stand if you haven't and check out their wonderful products. Thanks also to our wonderful speakers for their words of wisdom. And I'd also like to thank Kate Delmar. I'll start that again. I'd like to thank Kate Delmar Morgan, Neil Patel, and the whole ION graduation team for organising such a fantastic event. Honestly, they make it look so easy when I know it's anything but. And it's been especially complex today because we've had 2 ceremonies to manage. Now, next steps. Can I please remind the graduates and the ION staff and trustees to make their way to the bottom of the staircase for the official photo? Friends and family, you have done your duty. So you can make your way next door to start the celebrations. I understand there's some rather fabulous bubbly and afternoon tea available. And we will look forward to joining you as soon as we've finished our final formality. Thank you all very much. Now, can I please ask you all to stand for the academic procession? And then could we have one more round of applause for our very clever graduates as they... I hate to say it, but I was going to say, as they leave the hall. So, round 2 in a second. Thank you very much.